and Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of DSG Talks. We are back with yet another exciting episode of DSG Talk. So it's like the other one that we had last week with our very own technology partners. So as we know from our social media posts previous as well, that we are religious consumers of Huawei Fusion Solar. They are very trusted technology partners, and we always talk about how their products are very good in our industry. So today we decided to have someone from Huawei on board so that we can talk about the technology advancements and how the solar industry is having a revolution with Huawei Fusion Solar. So I have with myself Mr. Rizwan Razaq, who is the channel manager for Middle East and Africa of Huawei Fusion Solar. So without any delay, we'll hop in the topic and welcome Mr. Rizwan. So
thank you very much. Welcome, Salam.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking out time. I believe that we have done this before as well.
We did, yeah. A few months ago, I think I visited Pakistan, and I was here with your colleagues, Mr. Daniel.
Exactly.
So we went through a couple of topics at that particular time.
Exactly. It's always a pleasure to have you here. So as we talk about Huawei Fusion Solar and DSG Energy, so we guys have been working for quite some time now together, and we have a massive portfolio that we just launched, and most of them use Huawei Fusion inverters. So first of all, I'd like to ask about an overview of our synergy that we've been having for some years now.
Yeah, so the advancement in Pakistan is, the penetration rate of renewables is increasing. However, compared to other markets, it's still very low, and there is still such a large potential within Pakistan itself. So the markets, we need to be looking at neighboring areas such as the Middle East, Europe, for example, on what is happening and the demands and how to fulfill them in a sustainable way. So such topics such as solar, I'm sure from DSG perspective, they are looking and assessing the technologies such as storage. And that is products and portfolios that we are bringing into the market, not only from the utility scale or residential side, we're also looking at the commercial sector as well, which DSG, from my understanding, is heavily focused within.
Very nice. So as we talk about the advancements, Rizwan, so we've seen different models of Huawei inverters coming in. We've had different upgrades in the time, and I think currently we're 100 KTL.
Correct.
So what are we looking at in the upcoming future?
Yeah, so we've transferred from very small scale inverters at the initial stage 10 years ago, around 20 kilowatts. And we've now come up to a 100 kilowatt kind of commercialized inverter with a 400 volt output. We have adopted with the module technology to increase the power threshold of that particular model. So the latest product as of 2023 will be a 115 KTL with a maximum power of around 125 kilowatts. And that is the first initial phase of the next technology product. We are looking at a larger scale commercialized inverter around 150 kilowatts.
Nice.
Looking to be launched at a later stage next year. We're just going through some R&D on that particular model at this stage.
Looking forward to it. So there's one thing, as I just mentioned before the start of the session as well, that we have been religious consumers of Huawei Fusion Solar, and we have always been talking about whenever we market a project, we're like that a Huawei Fusion inverter solar is connected there, so obviously it has a maximum efficiency that we can look for. So there's one feature that we always talk about to our consumers, and it is the IV curve diagnostic features.
Yes.
But masses don't know about what is the basically means. So if you could explain that to the people watching.
Welcome to. So an IV curve is basically like a health check of your PV system. And this is traditionally done on a yearly basis. And it's looking at the voltage and current curves of your PV strings. So with our technology of inverters, where we are looking at all inputs and outputs of the inverter, we can physically do this in a digitalized way. So we don't need any additional equipment or labor on site, and we can do this remotely using the equipment and the monitoring platform on the inverters themselves. So we provide this for a trial basis, typically for between 1 to 3 months with the majority of our customers, and then it's a paid for service where we have achieved up to 95% accuracy values of the IV curve results that are coming back from the system itself.
Okay, so here I'd like to put a question from the audience perspective as well. When you talk about the others inverters in the market, surely you have other competitors as well, but they have their portals as well. So what is that feature in Huawei which sets it apart?
So that's due to our R&D. So we have collaborated with many customers across the globe, where we've been able to have access to a lot of that data and sharing with us geographical location differences, whether it is shading related differences, soiling loss differences, and that algorithms that are coming back from that data on the particular projects is being able to be delivered within the IV curve accuracy value. So one of the key differences that we are providing is the verification from third-party institutes. So our IV curve that we're providing to the market is verified by TÜV. And this is something which is different to what other brands are currently supplying to the market itself. Not saying that others won't be able to catch up, but we are already years ahead with that research and development that we've managed to provide.
Good to know. So there's another thing, since we're having a very technology related talk for the people watching, since it was much needed for people to know that what they're looking at when they're opting for a DSG energy system. So there's this new trend in Pakistan, you know that Pakistan has lots of potential in their solar industry. So when we talk about the ground-based systems, so I do believe that there's a special system that needs to step up that power from the ground to make it up and running for the industry especially. So what is Huawei's aspect on that, and how you guys are working to make that more smooth for the consumers?
Yeah, so we've got three different portfolios of products. We've got the residential sector, we've got the CNI, and then we've got the utility scale. Now, typically with ground mount applications, we are looking at using 1500 volt technology. So the module technology allows that. You've just got to select the applicable product from the utility scale range into the projects themselves. So once again, it's having the multiple MPPT feature whilst also having a 1500 volt technology from the strings. And this key driver is to bring a lower LCOE. So rather than just looking at comparing a 1000 volt application with a 1500 volt, we are making sure that the end goal, which is the levelized cost of energy itself, is at its lowest as possible.
Okay, so but it's very good to know that the R&D is up and coming, and we are looking at the good futuristic approach of Huawei for the consumers. But looking at the economic market of Pakistan, when we talk about the financial conditions of the country and the need for the renewable energy, are we looking at some cost-effective solutions here?
Correct. So these are where we want to work with customers closely, understand where your challenges are, and then try to provide applicable solutions for that appropriate scenarios themselves. So when it comes to DSG specifically, we've seen the portfolio of what kind of products we have used. We're working very closely with the technical and the management team within DSG to ensure that we are assessing what is the most appropriate product from our portfolio. And also working to ensure that we come up with products which are meeting the client's demands as well. So this is where we are working on a monthly basis with companies like DSG to ensure that you guys are getting the products, the pricing, the let's say the solutions required.
I think that's a very satisfactory news for the people watching. So as you mentioned, DSG Energy and are very collaborative working together. So when we talk about DSG products, we market ourselves as the industry leaders. Like we have our penetration in different segments of Pakistan, but when we talk about the industry specifically, we take ourselves as one of the leaders, and you have seen multiple projects that we've done in your collaboration. So on the other hand, we see the need of the country's industries to switch to renewable energy, and a lot of space empty there. So what's your take on the current industrial solutions that you have done with DSG Energy, and what would you recommend to the other industrialists?
Yeah, so right now I think we've got a very healthy portfolio of solar projects commercialized generally, and we need to look at start incorporating energy storage. So there is a portfolio of current-based projects that you guys have deployed in the market. We need to start looking at catering for energy storage to really adapt to providing more of a stable power source to the consumers themselves. So right now, as we know with solar, it comes based on the irradiation, the sun, for example, at that particular time of the day. So rather than having let's say a stability factor based on the solar, based on the irradiation, based on the conditions geographically, we need to be catering in for energy storage to then provide more of a consistent and power stable source. And that will then able to strengthen the grid that Pakistan is currently suffering from, the weak grid scenarios, which our inverters are further able to stabilize.
Good to know that. Looking forward to an up and above moment together. So before I move to the closing remarks, I'd ask a question that's very close to my heart, because you know that we have an initiative which is DSG Green Eco Squad.
Yes.
So we always put up different awareness regarding the climate change, and considering because you must have seen the smog in Lahore.
Yes.
So talking about the climate change and Huawei's idea on that.
Yes.
So what you're guys doing in that aspect, and how do you see that renewable energy being a changing factor for the climate change in Pakistan?
So we want to stick to where we are experts in, which is providing high-end quality products and solutions to our customers. There is other, let's say, brands and providers in the market that are providing not just equipment but also solutions, and where we find our expertise levels is to make sure that we continue in what we're doing, and collaborating with companies like yourselves to see what the requirements are and then adapting to the most appropriate product.
Very good approach. So lastly, I just asked a very overall question, which is that we have seen Huawei come a long way from where we started together, and we are definitely moving forward, both companies together. So where should we expect Huawei in Pakistan in the coming 5 years?
So we want to strengthen our, let's say, footprint within Pakistan, making sure that we succeed within a healthy market share within all sectors, whether that is on the commercial, on the residential, and along with the utility scale. So we see the utility scale sector a little bit on the slow side compared to other markets, whilst the commercialized and residential sector is really thriving right now. So we are trying to adapt our portfolio of product and also our customer base to make sure that we can satisfy all three of those sectors themselves.
Very nice. Lastly, so first of all, thank you so much, Rizwan, for coming here. And
thank you for having me.
And there have been so many technological questions for the people watching, but this was much needed. So lastly, I'll just ask this, that we have been together in this business for some time now.
Yes.
So what are your views on DSG Energy in the renewable energy market, and where do you see this synergy going?
The synergy, I really see that we are trying to work as closely as possible with yourselves, looking at making sure that not only the existing types of commercialized range that we still would like to provide, but we also want to collaborate in the next type of technology, which is the utility scale sector. We're also having discussions in topics such as energy storage with DSG itself. So this is definitely a collaboration with many more successes yet to come.
Well, definitely here's to expanding the portfolio together and the green footprint of Pakistan. So again, thank you so much for being here. And for the people watching, this was much needed to address that we have been working with our technology partners to provide the best of the best technology for you guys. And any questions that you have, you can drop down in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them. So we'll be back with another episode. Thank you so much for joining in. Allah Hafiz.